Hey, good morning, good afternoon, greetings, wherever you are, whatever time of day it is, nighttime. Welcome to the channel. Rory's with us again today. How are you doing, Rory?
I am indeed. I'm very good today.
It's good to have you
Looking
with
forward
us.
to our usual session. It's good.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm like, it's remarkable to me how many of these sessions I start uh, completely having no idea how I'm going to solve whatever I'm going to solve. And today is really no exception to that. I basically had a kind of an idea for what I want to do, and that's about all that I've got is just that idea. So I want to bring up. I wasn't really super prepped with this to do this, but let me see if I can get this. Do this in. I'm going to bring up another app. Let's do this. I'm going to bring up Adobe Premiere. I'm going to show you a feature that they have. I'll bring up the background so you can see that here in a second. Here we go. By the way, today's show right here, this is the source code we're starting with, episode 88. Begin. Folks that are new out there, I notice Tony PZZYZ out there says hi. Welcome, Tony. If this is, I'm not sure if this is your first time with us or not, but in case it is, we are doing a whole bunch of kind of fun visual things. And one of them is we have spinning coins, and the spinning coins were created inside of Adobe Premiere. And one of the things Adobe Premiere has is the ability to modify effects. And so, for example, here you can see the position is 16. When I hover over that, you can see what's happening here is the mouse is changing to a kind of an arrow thing. In fact, let me change to this view.
Getting kind of a visual clue as to something is different about us hovering over here, involving a left to right transition.
Yeah, and now if I click down on that and drag it, I can now move using the mouse precisely, kind of change its value as I move left and right. This is a feature that I really, really like. I like this, so I can do this here. I can do it here to change there. You can see that. I can change the scale as well, bring it up and down, all with the mouse very easily without ever having to reach for the keyboard. So that's what I kind of want to build. And I want to build it into one of the controls that we've already been working with here. And so we are running, now this is the one thing I don't like about my working with Visual Studio, is that when I run, all of my XAML design time views are gone. And so as a result, I can't come in and actually talk about or show the pieces I want to change. I guess what I can do though is I can come over and show them running, which is not a bad alternative. So as an example, maybe on these numbers to be able to grab them and move them left and right, maybe. I'm not entirely sure if I want to do this yet. However, on our effects builder, I'm definitely thinking in these areas right here is what I'm thinking about, right? So the idea is that I can come over this. If I click and release, it'll go inside. But if I click and drag, it'll move it back and forth is kind of what I'm thinking about here. I've also been thinking about clicking and dragging over the unit symbol instead, and just modifying these controls right here, because then I don't have to deal with the kind of this idea of, am I clicking and dragging or am I clicking and releasing to decide what the behavior is going to be?
Okay, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I would imagine that if you could go with if you click anywhere except in the actual text box, you are still specifying this attribute. So whether it be in the units afterwards or in the label at the start, that's your choice and you're clicking. And then, as you say, if you drag from that perspective, that perhaps gives you a larger area. Because, I mean, in some of those cases, you've got a 0 character, which is pretty small in terms of hitting. It's smaller even than most scroll bar thumbs.
Yeah.
So yeah, and until you move then the mouse or the cursor out of the way, you can't actually visualize what that value is terribly well. So there's a certain interference with what you're affecting whilst not being able to see what you're affecting.
Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play with the mouse down drag on the units, because then we've got a very constrained usability test case. And we can
Sure.
play with that and see how that works. And if we decide, well, you know what, we really want to make it more discoverable, I should have it when I put the mouse over the number. We should
Okay.
show that. We could also, by the way, do this using a technique similar to what we use over here. Right here, the word fire is displayed using a text block. When I click on it, we replace it with a text box, right?
Yes.
So fire it could show it like this, and then when I drag left or right, it could be like, okay, I'm almost thinking what I want to do is kind of create
meter?
an edit control that I can do this with. What did you say, Rory?
I'm saying something like a meter. I think, what do they call them? Spark lines in a graph. So it's like a little, the whole thing gets replaced with
Yeah.
almost like a progress bar kind of effect.
Yeah, but I want to have it still be the number that I see. But what I'm
That's
suggesting
true,
is
yeah.
that in order to I don't want to like hack into the text box too much. What I think I want to do is have something on top, and then it decides whether to show the text box or not. Right? And so if I click and release, it's like, okay, text box is shown and it has focus and we're editing it. Is that going to work though? Because I want to be able to click on a particular spot of the text box. Like if I click to the right, I want the caret right about where I clicked. Or if I click to the left, I want the caret right there where I clicked. So maybe that is not going to work as much. Maybe I am going to have to kind of hack into this.
Got another question for you as well. The idea here is that I imagine, at least, I mean, not having done this exact thing before, I imagine that you're going to implement this using some combination of, detecting mouse click down, and then mouse move whilst you are down, and then obviously mouse is released, and therefore we stop being in this mode, perhaps.
Yeah.
My question is, if you click down and move off the right-hand edge of the control entirely, does it still receive mouse move events?
I'm pretty sure we can make that happen. In WinForms, you do use something called mouse capture, and I think we're going to do the same thing in. I think the same thing is available to us in WPF. It might just be a little tricky, but I think we can find our way to get to that. So, okay, I think I'm back to let's play it safe. And let's make it so that we only if we're clicking and dragging on the units, will this thing do its thing. So the first thing I need to do is, hey, on a mouse over, I need to change that cursor is what I need to change it to we'll make it easy, an east-west like resize or cursor. We'll reuse that one instead of creating our own cursor for now. Yep. So let's do that. I guess I'll start by closing this down.
Are we also going to need some form of magnitude or increase, decrease by property?
Maybe.
Yeah.
1500
in that one item, and you might only, if you go by one at a time, that's going to take a little while. But equally, you can't have it default to 100 because you might be a value that starts 0 and only goes up as far as 10.
Well, I'm thinking we're going to default to moving only by 1, is what I'm thinking we're going to default to, and the reason I want to default to that is that, let's say I was at 1500, like you're saying. If I'm moving only by 1 and it's already at 1500, I'm just fine-tune adjusting it. So the idea is that I'm using the mouse to kind of just adjust things a little bit. And with regards to the emitter page that I was showing, I think I almost want it to also, when it changes, to have a checkbox that says update on change. So I can just drag it as I drag it. Like say I'm dragging the particle size, we actually see the thing restart every time I make a change, and it's coming back out larger, bigger, that sort of thing.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm playing with it.
Oh,
What is the name of that control? Target value edit? Is that it? No, that's the target value. Also something that we could add this click and drag to. Oh my gosh. Should I really go in and change the text box? I'm like thinking I should. I'm really because if I change the text box, then I can replace this control with it and I get it everywhere. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
I get it everywhere, Rory. And if I get it everywhere, that's like way more powerful than if I, the other one was the num edit, I think, is this one. That's where I was thinking about playing with it.
That's the main one that, yeah.
Yeah, I say
But
let's.
that uses a text box, and the other one uses a text box. So
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, what if I was able to hack into the text box and, kind of, I guess, create a descendant of it, I'm thinking.
Sure, and use the descendant in these two locations, at
Yeah.
which point you're kind of done.
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm playing with. It's more coding than what I was thinking. We'd be spending more time out in XAML, but we might play with that idea. So let's give it a shot. Let's do a text box descendant first. And I think I'm going to put it inside user controls, even though it's technically not a user control. So we'll create a new class. And I'm going to call this my num edit. Wait, I already have a num edit, don't I, in here? I do. So I'm going to say, I'm going to still call it a num text box is what I'm going to call it. There we go. Num text box. Okay, it's going to descend from text box.
Now, this, of course, means that you can't use the previous logic of using the click on the units, because this thing doesn't have units.
Hold on a second. I didn't quite understand that. Let me get the right using in here. Say that again, Rory.
The text box descendant that you've just created has no implicit units to its right-hand side. So there are no units to initiate the click from.
Right.
As there would have been in the previous theory.
Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and hook into the mouse down stuff right here from this text box, the mouse over, that sort of thing. That's what I'm going to try to do. We'll see if this works. I've never actually done this before where I've well, I think I maybe take that back. I said I've never descended from an actual control. I've got a grid sheet right here. Am I using this thing anywhere? I was playing with it. Am I? Look at this.
I've not seen you do so, but that doesn't necessarily prove anything.
Well, wait, I'm still in grid sheet here. Hold on. Let's see where we are here. Still in grid sheet. Still in grid sheet. Am I using grid sheet anywhere else? Because I was playing with it. Character sheets looks like I am. Okay, cool. I'm using that grid sheet and character sheets. Okay, so I have actually done this before. That's good. And all I did here is add events. I've got the unactivated in here. What else is going on here? Here's where I'm hooking in the. Okay, so we're going to need a constructor, something like that. We're going to need to call the base. I'm just going to copy this, pop this over in here to my num text box. And there we go. We're going to say, so preview mouse down plus equals. I'll get it. There we go. And so we've got a preview mouse down. I think there's also a property in here. This dot mouse cursor. Cursor, maybe I should search for cursor. There we go. Cursor equals. What do I got here? Anything? Cursor dot? No. All right. That IntelliSense could help us out. We are now reaching for our first. I'm bringing up a browser so we can go find WPF. Cursor. Set cursor, maybe like that. So let's do C#.
Seems to be a static class cursors. Plural,
All right, there. That's what I was looking
has
for.
Properties of various types of cursor. So scroll, WE for west east. So perhaps you can assign on that basis.
Okay, cool.
The WE version a little bit further down.
There we go. All right, cool. Thanks for helping me with that, Rory.
Maybe that's right.
All right.
That's basically whatever cursor you want to be in effect whilst over this control.
Yeah. if
Okay.
it's got focus. I think that if it doesn't have focus, I think I don't want it to be that. I mean, sorry, if it does have focus, in other words, the carrot is actively blinking, I don't want it to actually be this. But for now, I think I just want to, let's go just this far.
Sure.
And let's go in, let's rebuild. And I've got my mouse down. Let's get rid of actually our exception in here. Let's get rid of that. And I wonder if this is going to work at design time, which is interesting. We could even test this at design time if it works
Yeah.
here. So let's see here. It looks like I hit a hotkey to start up my testing here. Let's rebuild this one more time and see if we can actually drop this control and see if we see a cursor. I have a feeling we won't because it's design time, but we'll see what happens. Rebuild all started. Why is this taking so? Oh, it's taking so long because I'm testing as well. I think I might have to wait a moment. Okay. Nope, not done yet. Still going. You can see the icons just to my right over here.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to catch up with you on the coin collection thing. What's interesting is I'm not seeing the numbers above me when I'm collecting coins. Oh, there we go. 187. It just started popping up, but it didn't at first.
Oh yeah.
Really, Rory? So competitive. All right.
It's when you create such fun toys to play with. That's the thing.
Yeah. So it looks like we're building and here, hold on. Rebuild all succeeded. Okay, that took way too long. Let's see if we can use it in there. We've got the where's a good place to play with this and put it here? I think in the effects list would be kind of an interesting place to put this for right now. Let's kind of come up here. And let's come in here and see if we can do it here. So probably DHDM. Is that going to be the right one? And we're going to call this a text. What do we call this? Num text box. Okay, so it's not in that namespace. It is probably in the local instead. Okay, so we're going to change that to local. And then we'll say num text box. Why aren't you getting that text box? Okay, weird. It didn't suggest it. Look at you, Rory. I hope you're proud of yourself. Over 1,000 coins. All right. How's the lag on the
There's
stream?
not a lot of lag actually. It's looking pretty good.
Good.
I think maybe second and a half, something like that.
Cool. Excellent. All right, so let's see. Do we have our text box in here? Hey, there it is. Wait. Okay, that's something else. Okay, yeah. So it's design time, so we're not seeing any different cursors. That kind of makes sense to me. Let's run it though, and see what we get here. I'm going to save this, and we'll run it. And let me shut down Mr. AnnouncerBot because he's about to start right back up. Let me kill every instance of Chrome before we come up. And here we go. Looks like we're starting. By the way, kids, I'll be speaking in Las Vegas March 3rd through the 8th. Well, actually, one of those days. I think I'm speaking on the 6th in Vegas. Uh-oh. What's this? Hold on. Got a dialogue, which I'm trying to drag on so you can see it. Here we go. That's not good.
Ooh.
I'm also seeing this on my other monitor too.
I will say the streams, well, let's say the drones have stopped responding.
Oh no.
As you sort of were reaching to start up. So I don't know whether something that is interpreting commands has crashed also, or maybe that is the thing that's crashed. Is this Mr. Announcer bot in the background, or is this actually Studio?
I don't know.
Or combination
I'm not
thereof?
sure what this is. I'm a little nervous to hit terminate right here on this, to see what happens. If it's OBS, we may lose the stream. Let's hit cancel at least on this. Not sure what that is. All right, here comes the terminate. Let's see what happens. Sure, my remote session. Okay, interesting. Okay, so that was trying to connect. I'm not sure why
The
that.
stream is still up, so that's something.
Yeah, and we are actually starting things up now. What happened, it's really weird, is it still says we're running, and now I'm seeing, now my local host is starting up,
Loading symbols and so forth.
and
So,
my
yeah,
main
that's a little
window,
weird.
I have no idea what that was, but interesting. Okay, so now we have this, oh cool.
Hey, there we go.
All right, so good. I'm
That's the effect
happy
we want.
with
Nice,
that.
obvious, clear indication of what our intentions are.
Yeah, and so now we need to tell the difference between a drag and a click. I'm wondering, are you still stuck in terms of you're not moving?
I think the OBS
Let's refresh it.
overlay is done at the minute. Yeah.
All right, I'll refresh it right here. Now you'll get a new one loaded up and see if that one works for you. Okay, cool. So now we have the ability to move left and where we have the at least the, and now we're done, Rory.
Yeah, that's it.
It's no need to test any further.
We'll call that success.
Yeah, so this is very cool. So we need to know the difference between a click and a drag. And I want to actually go to the internet and ask this question. I want to basically say, I'll go ahead and do it. WPF determine difference between click and drag and see what the discussion is. Because one of the pieces that I'm interested in, drag drop, I don't know if a mouse click, does this mean the start of the drag drop? Let's take a look at that. Because,
Surely it's just the distinction between is the mouse down whilst movement occurs?
no, it's not. Because the thing is if I click and put it down, that mouse moves small amounts before I lift it up, right? And that's and it's part of it is the timing between the two.
Sure.
And so see, like Will Bennett, I'm not seeing the numbers above him yet. I think we've got a bug in that display in terms
It
of
might be, yeah.
But after a while I saw the numbers show up above me.
You did. It was almost like there was a fractional delay, and then they were okay again for a bit.
Yeah. Kind of interesting. Hold on a second. So part of it is the delay. What's the amount of time that spans? And there's a system-wide number that you can get to if you're like doing WinForm stuff that I recall. Hold on. Distinguish.
Oh, there was a bad crash of some description. I've only got 26 coins now.
Will said the
Numbers
same
coming up,
thing.
but it's ditched everything that previously has been accumulated.
Really? All right.
That's all right, Will. We're in the same situation, man. The
I'll-
playing field is even again.
I will bring the coins back because guess what? I think I'm storing these. Actually, I may not be storing these in a place where I don't think they're as restorable. This location is not a place that's backing up all the time. We might have a little bit of loss here with this location. If it was in the Dropbox folder, I'd be able to totally roll it back, which I think we need to do. Yeah,
Another
that
interesting effect is my drone is moving at constant speed, and I'm fairly sure I didn't tell it to do that.
Are you slowing down or not? You're not slowing down?
No, I'm going up and down and up and down. I don't think it's slowing anyway. So some interesting things going on at least. Oh, that's. Oh, I've got an up. I don't know. This might be falling somehow. Do you remember we had a deliberate command that could be issued at one point to actually set a movement to constant speed?
Yeah, you know what? I don't think actually that I suspect that your coins have not actually reset. I think it was the starting problem that we had there that is, it's not speaking to something over on this side, but you are able to talk to, oh, here comes Clark IO raiding with a party of 30 people here. So probably
Welcome, Clark IO,
just in time.
Everybody who's with you.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, Roy, I'm going to take a look at a couple things on my machine. Tell everybody what we're doing right now, just this in this moment what we're trying to do.
If you ignore for the moment the drones and paint splats on the screen in front of you, what we're actually doing is we're in the process of building some tools for a parallel stream that's going to be starting wherein a live Dungeons and Dragons game will be played, and we're going to produce a whole bunch of cool effects over the top. And at the moment we're building an editor for the assembling of those effects, and one of the things we'd like to do is to set the size of explosions, the magnitude of various things, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of numerics going on, and whilst we can currently enter those numerics manually just using the keyboard, we felt that since this is a broadly the kind of thing where you're not on the keyboard most of the time, actually most of the time you're using the mouse, sort of point and click and highlight things like that. So as a result, we'd like to keep you on the mouse wherever possible and not force you to change the mode of input. As a result, a sensible suggestion to implement this is when you want to alter a number, we're going with a kind of an Adobe Premiere style of click and drag. Okay, so what we're doing now is we're going to create a new version of the text box that's in use in other places, which responds to click down, movement left and right by adjusting the value contained within, basically in response to how far you drag. And then, of course, when you release, it saves the value there and affects the effect.
Yeah.
And that's our goal at the moment. So at the moment, we've just got a text box with a different cursor on it, and we're investigating how we might now have, I guess it's the distinction, wasn't it? We were just discussing this between what is the difference between I've just clicked something and maybe moved accidentally, and what is I've clicked and I've dragged in a more purposeful sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at right now. We want to be able to click and drag this, but I also want to be able to click on it. So if it's not, doesn't have focus like now, I want this to work just like we're seeing here, where the mouse changes. But if it does have focus, I want it to be a normal I-beam cursor. I don't want to, so I can select click and drag. I want to be able to click and drag to select it if it has focus. So the question is, so we basically have two different kind of modes of behavior here. I'm almost also thinking that since it's kind of a clickable, draggable thing, I kind of like the UI that's over in the Adobe products here. I'm going to open that back up one more time. We'll take a look at that. They are Spider Hunter 3 is following. Thank you, Spider Hunter 3. By the way, if you're following, you're automatically entered into a chance to win a copy of CodeRushed. And we give away a copy every day. We've given away about 88 copies of CodeRushed so far. I'm opening up Adobe Premiere. This is the asset for the coins that show up around. Kitchen Confidential is following. Thanks for the follow as well. By the way, thank you, Brian, for the raid. I'm glad to see your folks out here. So this is Adobe Premiere, and Adobe Premiere allows me to come in and edit the effects. And so here's what I'm talking about. Notice it's blue, and when I hover over it, it's got this kind of finger and the arrows pointing left and right. If I click on it, now it turns into this control right here. Right, so this is actually, it's kind of doing two different controls here, Rory. It's got this and then this one where I can actually click on the piece. I actually think we should follow this model, but if I hold down the mouse and drag it, I can move the properties here. So here I'm adjusting the Y position. Here I'm adjusting the X position.
So that sounds like it's based on focus, right? So you don't actually gain focus on it until you not just click on it, but release on it as well. Okay, and presumably that's within a small time frame as well. So if you click, hold, and then release, it might not.
Nope, it actually does.
It actually does.
It's the release.
But in that interim time,
it's looking for
no focus.
It's looking for significant movement. It's actually kind of exactly as you were describing earlier on, Rory. It's like if I click and release, if I do the slightest movement, and come up, but it's looking for kind of a bigger movement, is what it is. So this is kind of interesting. I'm actually thinking now we might want to make this text box have two different controls in it, is what I'm thinking now. So let's, we'll close this down. We won't save that. That's kind of been a nice inspiring piece here. So now I'm thinking we're going to do that. We're going to make this, so click is going to put it in there. And, oh, I should have checked what happens if they hit the tab key. We should go back in and start it. I'm going to start it up one more time. And we're going to take a look at what do they do? How are they handling tab? Are they, because I think the way I know I'd want to do it, Windows 3.1 stole that from Steve Jobs. What? Because it's been done before.
There's a discussion about maybe a suggestion of using a bound scroll bar instead, right? So when you click into it, it switches out and becomes a scroll bar, all right? But I'm not sure that we then have to still subclass and get the dragging effect anyway, right?
Yeah.
But there's scroll bar's been done before, so Windows 3.1, and then of course the discussion suggests that actually no, 3.1 stole from Steve Jobs. Okay, I'm going to stand back from that particular argument because I'm not getting involved. But yes, UIs of varying kinds have been around. Wow, they've evolved so much through the ages.
Let's try this out here. See what happens if I am here and I hit the tab key. Nice. That's what I want to have happen.
Yeah. So it is just.
It highlights them.
Unless you are in the process of not having yet, so you clicked but not yet. Sorry, you clicked the mouse down but not yet allowed it to come back up. You are dragging.
Yeah, I'm creating this control.
And once it's up, you're just into the natural cycle of things.
Yeah,
you are a text box.
I am
a different style.
I am determined to create this control because I like it. I think it's good and useful, and I'm going to use it in place of text boxes everywhere. So with that, let's go ahead and close this down now for real forever. Should I do that for real, or maybe I'll want to come back? I'll minimize it. Okay, so I want the same thing over here. So so let's go back to, now does that mean I'm going to shut everything down here. Let's start closing down the stuff that we're playing with. Here, close that down. Where is my, here's my local host over here as well. All right, I was hoping to find something a little faster and easier on there. So we're going to kind of wing some of this. There's our control right there, the num text box. And should I create it as a user control? I think I should. I'm now back to doing user control, having two layers. I'm going to do it. Okay, so here we go. Add new user control. And one other thing I want to do is I want to stop every instance and also start Mr. Announcer Bot. Stop every instance of Chrome running so we can start it and bring Mr. Announcer Bot back up in. So he's with us. And now we're going to call this the, we got to give it a good name that's not any of the two I've already got. I've got a num text box already. That's the name I really want to call this. Num text. Call it num text. All right. And so inside here, I'm going to put in a text box. And tbx text box, I guess. I don't know. And then we're going to put a text block in there. I don't really have better names than this.
So this is for the units for our number.
No, this is going to be the number on top that's going to be rendered in blue.
Oh, I see.
And then
so
we're
when we are dragging, we don't want the text box necessarily.
I don't want the text box ever seen unless it's active. When we're active, then I want to do that. Now, I'm getting into all kinds of areas that I'm not sure about where we're going to hit here because one of the things I'm not sure about is, okay, I've got a grid. Does the grid, what do I need to do to tell it that the grid can receive tab focus? I'm not sure. You might want to actually look that up for me, Rory, because I'm expecting, because this is right here, we're going to have visibility is equal to collapse here. On this,
so
I think.
Are you intending to switch the text box and the text block visibility similar to how you did in the effects list?
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to do here.
So there's only one thing that concerns me there is that if you click down on the text box, meaning to then have it exchange for the text block so that when you scroll left, you move left and right, it adjusts the value. Does that mean you can't focus the text box? Because
no.
By the time you've done the click down, it's gone. It's switched.
No, I'm going to make it. No. What happens is the text box is never shown. It's essentially invisible, collapsed, whatever.
Oh, I see. So it's just a receptacle for the value itself.
Well, it's a receptacle, but never shown until I click and release on the text block. If that happens and I don't click and drag it, okay,
Gotcha.
then we're going to hide the text block and show the text box. Or if we tab into this, we're going to show the text box and hide the text block is what we're going to do.
Which is why you want to know when you receive focus as a control.
Yeah, that's kind of
Is
what.
that more the user control getting focus rather than the grid itself within it?
Yeah, I think it could be. I think it totally could be. I kind of feel like I want to create a property called isFocused, and I think I'm going to do that right now. So that's where I'm. My gut's telling me to go on this. So we'll create a new dependency property here called isFocused. This it's going to be property of type Boolean. Default value for this, I guess I'll say it's false. Like that. And there's our isFocused property right there. What is this about? Oh, shoot. We already had an isFocused on it. We already have an isFocused. Oh, my gosh.
Well, is that not just inherent in being a user control?
Yeah, but I guess what I wanted to create my own definition of focused is what I wanted to do. And so I'm thinking, do I do it again? All right, let's still go with my gut feel on this. So we'll come one more time. We'll create a dependency property. We'll call it is text box focused. A little more painful, but it's a property of type Boolean, and its default value is false. And
Spider Hunter 3 suggests you could name it isActive. It's one alternative.
okay. I could do that too. Let's see what happens if I do that. isActive. Guess what? Guess who should have used the rename feature? All right, let's do that. Okay, isActive, and then this becomes isActive, like that. And this becomes isActive. And looks like we have no errors or warnings on that. Okay, so good. All right, so we've got isActive. That means I should be able to come over here and say my visibility. I think I need a property. Is text box visible? I think I need another property here for whether the text box is visible or not. Control the
Mark!
Let's see it.
Yep. There's Will Bennett with some more help. He's a very helpful guy. This being some specific information on a state manager for WPF.
Yeah, control template. But I also want to hook into events on that template, though, is what I want to do. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Maybe this is doing this. Hold on, parts.
So just to explain, there's a few people in the chat room there who are somewhat shocked by that last outburst. Yeah, we have a number of should we say chat room controllable scenes that can play to grab our attention if we're not actually looking at the chat room in that precise moment. Because in this case is a great example. Will Bennett give us a great link to some information that could very well be of use into the current task that we're undertaking. So sorry about the perhaps the surprise element of that, but it is a good way of getting our attention at the end of the day. So
Koskilla, I'm sorry, Koskilla is now following. Thanks for that follow. So if you parts and states model. How to follow it when you control. So the customer control numeric top down to illustrate the philosophy of the model. Control displays numeric value, which a user can increase or decrease by clicking the controls buttons. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of what we want right here. All right, so you know how to create a control template. I'm a little bit familiar with that. Familiar with the elements of control. I'm familiar with it as of several years ago. I haven't done it since. On a control contract R. So my understanding is the contract is established by the names of the controls. That's what I think is going on with the control template. and understand the concepts discussed in customizing appearance of an existing control by creating a control template. All right, let's go refresh over here in that. Let's jump over that piece right here. I just want to get to the code and look at it. Control template. These are the pieces. A content presenter, template binding, background, border brush, content presenter. Feel like I'm missing a piece of this. Hold on a second. I don't want to spend my show reading and learning about this. I want to do this outside of it. And so I'm a little bit like, I think I'm going to have to absorb this later, is my sense on this. Let's go look at this, though, real quickly, though, the defining the visual structure and visual behavior of a controller control template. There's the control template again. Here's the pieces it's adding. Where is, there's a text block. Where is the edit control? The edit control is not here. It's parented, is that right? Is there a content presenter in there? I don't see that. Hold on. This is the numeric up down for this. So that -3, where are we putting that? There's my repeat buttons, my border. Oh, here. Wait, text block. Oh, okay. Got it. Well, kind of got it. All right. I think that is, so the control template, where does the control template go? That's my next question. Hold on. So in renaming, would leave the property part, but change int as active as well in the classic properties. Wait, did I make a mistake with the property name on that? Rory, what's Hugo talking about?
He's talking about a way to improve the refactoring experience of dependency properties so that we can actually detect that it is a dependency property and maybe link a few extra pieces.
Oh, when we do a rename?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's like a piece that would be really nice.
That'd be really good, wouldn't it?
Yeah. If I come in here and do is active and say rename, yeah, that's the only piece there. Yeah, so that's an interesting idea. Okay, so I'm like, feel like I'm all over the place with ideas on how I'm going to implement this particular piece here. I think that what I'm going to do is, can I do this with the template? Where's the template go is I guess my question. I want to know where this template goes. Where does this control template go? Does it go inside of the main XAML?
Yeah, it's not particularly clear, is it? I mean, potentially it's just an additional XAML file.
Well, I think it's a resource is what I think it is. And my gut feel tells me that this, whatever I'm going to use, well, let's try it. Let's just see what we can do here. Let's come in here and create a user control resources section. I think this is where we're going to see it. User control.resources, like that. Let's see if it's legal to put a control template here. If it is, then I'm going to say this is where we want to go. There it is, right there. Okay. Yeah. So feeling not bad about that.
So Will Bennett says you can put it any way you want because it's got a target type.
Yeah.
It's in the hierarchy.
Okay.
Somewhere.
And so then, though, the question though is okay, well, I don't really need anything here necessarily if I'm defining my template. What goes here is my question, right? Because if I was just, like, in other words, if I could use a user control template and put it anywhere, in other words, could I put this inside like my app.xaml? Could I do it here and say application.resource? Well, I've already got that. Will the control template work here? No, it does not allow me to do a control. Each dictionary entry must have associated key. Maybe it is. Hold on, let's make sure that I've got it's going to give me control template here. It is. Okay. So then I just need a key. I think I have a template called XK, which gives me that. And then we're going to say, okay, cool. So we're going to call this our num edit. What's that what I call it? Num text? I think I tried.
Num text box, I think, was the user
No.
control.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, num text box. So the key is going to be our num text box. I don't know what key num text box like that. And let's go look at what else is coming on here with the controller. The target type, we're going to need to play with that. Okay. Where's the key? There's not a key here in their stuff. So they're just doing target type here. Maybe I don't actually need a key. Or maybe I do because of that error message I had before. All right, let's just do target type. We'll get that target type.
Yeah, I think it's just a target type. I think Will's also saying the same thing down there.
Okay.
So as long as you have a namespace that allows you to point at the control that this is a template for, the two should be able to marry up.
Yeah. Why am I not getting out of D&D core? Am I not getting any IntelliSense? I'm just not getting anything here. No types out of D&D core. Oh wait, it's not in D&D core.
Isn't
it's
it
here.
Local?
Yeah, it's local. Okay, so it looks like I need a local namespace. Do I not have one already? Oh, I've got one. UC. Okay. So UC for user controls. There we go. Num text box. Okay.
Right, there we go. So
nice.
now we shouldn't need the key.
All right. Well, let's see if we get rid of it. We get that error. I get a feeling that error was like, no. Yeah. See, look at that.
Okay, yeah.
It's an application resource. I think we need the key there. Let's see. Set target without having a reference. Hugo says if you set a key, it won't automatically use it for the control. Right? That way you have multiple control templates for specific control type. I totally got that, Hugo. Yes, I agree, and that's useful. But it looks like I have to set the key here no matter what because I think we're in this application resources space. So now let's clean up some of my stuff here. I'm going to clean up num text and get rid of this. There we go. It's gone.
If the target type for our control template is always the same control, why would we store it at the application level?
Well, I'm not sure where else to put it because I don't have.
Just go in the user control?
No, I don't have a user control anymore. I've just got a descendant of text box.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that's my problem. Is I feel like I'm juggling like 3 or 4 different possibilities on how to do it, and each one's got a different series of things I've got to worry about.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I want to play with. But let's just play with this control template and see if we can get something working here. Do I want to do a grid as the outer piece? I'm actually not a fan of grids, but I think it's just because I'm weird. I'm a weirdo, and
I'm not a huge fan of grids either. Their definition seems a little bit.
I don't need grid-like behavior. I just need one thing over another.
1 or 2 cells. So
yeah, so I just need any kind of outer container. So I think I'm just going to try. Let's just try a stack panel out here. And we'll say SB container here. We'll give it a good name, even though we probably will never ever need that. And inside of that, we're going to have, let's follow the model here. What do we got? What is the piece? This is like the thing I think we got to model after right here. Now there's a border. Oh, I could do a border as the outside. That actually, I'm actually all about this. Let's grab a border for now. And then we'll maybe play with that. So border thickness, it's gray. The margin, I don't care about the margin. I'm going to kill the margin. There's no row span in here. Fine, the background can be that. Vertical alignment can be center. Fine, horizontal alignment is stretch. Okay. And I think border only allows 1 child. That's right. You're totally right. It's not a I think. You're totally right. It only allows 1 child. And so, and that quickly, I'm like switching it from a border to a stack panel, I suppose.
You could put a border outside of the stack panel.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Let's do that. And that way we can still control it. We assume that maybe the border is going to be somehow useful. We'll, hold on. We've already got the stack panel here. Boom. Switch the order of these 2 around. Okay. So then in our stack panel, we've got a text block. Padding is 5. text binding, relative source find answer. Now,
So it's
can we
fine, it
do
just doesn't like the multi-line is all.
can we do relative source here out in application? I'm going to say that we can on this. Let's just make sure that we're all of the pieces are correct in here. What does this say right here? Binding. What? Namespace prefix source, src. Okay, that's way out here.
Right, that's the numeric up-down reference, which
yeah.
we don't have. We're going to use UC text box.
Yep. And so we're going to call this, I think, text, because I don't want to break anything right there. And the path is value. Hold on a second. The binding is this.
Isn't this a reference from the... Sorry, what is it we're defining here? It's the text box inside our num text box. So don't we go back up to our ancestor, i.e. our container control, which is UC:"num text box, as opposed to source text? So the example was referencing its outer control, if you like. Or have I misunderstood that?
Oh, you're right, because it's the type. No, you did not. I don't think you misunderstood it. I think I did. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I was not looking over here, and I was just going forward. Okay. So yeah, I agree with that. And then here the path is text. No, thanks so much, Rory. I was like, Rory's like, it's cool. I gotcha. All right. So that now feels.
Guess.
That's a guess, but it feels
credit, you know?
it feels better. Just like fighting with APIs, I like to beat them into submission, is what Will Bennett says. I actually like
claim victory over the API.
Yeah,
That's quite good, right?
I actually am way more comfortable creating everything from scratch than I am, going in and learning what I have to do in this case or this case or this case. So, all right. Chewing
Okay,
my
so we've got a
eyes.
control template with a border inside it containing a single stack panel, which contains at the moment a text block. We are also going to put a text box in there.
Yeah, we're going to do
We'll
that.
alternate the existence between the two.
I was thinking about running it right now, but I think I'm going to go ahead and do it. We'll put a new TBX inside there, new text box. And we're going to say this, we'll just call our text box like there. That's what we're using. Are we going to be in trouble using a text box inside of our descendant of a text box? Oh no, because then it won't be, we'll be okay here. We'll be okay. We're okay. All right, good. Hugo says he doesn't like APIs that aren't the MPP, the Mark Programming Preferences. Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, watch this guy try to figure this, try to fight with what other people have done.
I am fascinated to see what will happen here. So we've got a control template, which is ostensibly a layout of sorts, but also with instantiation information for actual controls, which we're going to apply to a text box derivative. So rather than this is the definition of my user control in WPF XAML, we're going to just apply this as a new skin almost on our text box derivative.
Yeah, and
that's kind of an interesting way of doing that.
Yeah, no, and who knows if it's going to work or not, but I think there's a shot that it's going to work. And the way we're going to be able to tell is, at least right now, if we compile and put it in, we should see two things stacked up on top of each other.
Yeah.
For our num text box. So we
should put some default text in. Well, where's
you're right.
The text gained from?
You're right.
The text block will collapse.
Well, this is grabbing it from the text of the control itself.
Oh, wow.
And so is this one. So we should be able to just change the text and see it in both places. Let's stop the show right now, because if we, we'll leave it at cool. Rory, what do you think?
Well,
yes.
We'll claim it all worked, and yeah.
Or we could test it.
You guys don't need to see proof that it works, right?
All right, there we go. Right to my right over here. The rebuild succeeded. Let's go over to our effects list where we're testing this. There's that text box right there, but it doesn't look like it's changed right there. Test. I'm only seeing one thing here. Now, what do we need to do to use that piece? Do we need to reference it by key? Is there a
this is
template?
What we said. Will's duplicating it here. Yeah. Sorry, what Hugo was saying, I think, before, that because we gave our control template a key, we do need to specify it.
Yeah. So I think I called that num text box like that.
That sounds about right.
What's not liking it? It's not finding it. Type converter for control template does not support converting from a string. What am I doing wrong here? How do we use it? Let's go see if this has got some hints on it.
Curlies and then name it. Did it get a? So is it more a case of? Oh, I don't know. Is that?
Let me see if I can find an example of using it here. Using parts in code. Maybe not in code I want. What do we got here? Static resource? Okay, fine. Let's see. So static resource. So we're going to come in here. Yeah, I think you're probably right. So let's try that. Static resource. There it is. Perfect. Thanks, Will. Will just saved us as usual.
That is just amazing, really.
Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad, not bad. Okay, so cool. All right, so we're getting a little bit closer in here. Let's go set our cursor back over here. So it was kind of interesting too, Rory, that we're in app.xaml and we're doing the layout work here. We're essentially doing that kind of layout work. All right, so here I want to create the cursor and set that equal to, we said scroll west east. And
I'll tell you what this feels like, Mark. It feels like rather than, you know how you can make an extension method for a type that already exists?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is like an extension everything for a derivative class that already exists.
It is. It is. I totally agree with that. It's a little bit like that. Let me scroll back so we can see a little more code on screen here. Okay, so, all right, so we've got the text binding here. That also should mean, I'm just changing the scroll west east cursor on the text block. I want to come out to here, and I want to now, so if I make any kind of change, it should appear in both of those, right? So, hello, we're seeing because of the binding between the two.
Yeah.
I need to overlap one over the other. I need to get it so that they are... Go ahead. What do you want to say, Rory?
Here's a question. So, okay, we have this, as I say, and it's sort of like having an extension skin or existence over the top of a class that already exists. Now we're going to go and we're going to say something along the lines of we're going to hide one or other of the text box and the text block, and we're going to want to write some code that suggests when we want one to show versus the other.
Yes.
Where are we going to write that code? Because in the class, it doesn't know about the existence of these two things.
Oh, here's what I'm going to do. So my plan for that is, this is so funny, right? Remember I said I was juggling like 3 or 4 things? I actually had 3 or 4 individual plans for every single one of these and how to do it.
But my web of awesome.
You could have asked me that question on any of them, but for this one, my plan is to hook in here. Right, so I'm going to comment out this line of code here, but I'm going to hook in with the events here and add the code I want. I'm going to add dependency properties here that will be able to go access off of num text box here in app.xaml to tell me what the visibility should be on each of these two. So I'm going to create one property of type visibility called is text block visible, or text block visibility. So it'll look like this. It'll be like visibility is equal to, and the property we're going to create is we'll create a binding to it, so it'll look like this. Hold on, binding, and we'll do the whole thing out.
We're not actively going to set the visibility of the text block. Instead, we're going to set a property whose name is text block visible, and we're going to get the text block to continuously respond to it changing.
Yeah, by by setting its visibility equal to that property. Do you see what I'm saying?
That is awesome in a crazy kind of way.
That's my plan. You see what I'm saying? I had like crazy plans on everything, and since we're doing this one, you're only seeing 1/4 of my crazy plans to make this work. But that's kind of what I'm going to do. This binding is not correct here. We're going to have to really make it more like this one right here. So let's go get that. Let's come in here. Let's paste that in and get rid of that and go here. So I think that's what we need to do right there. So that's the text block visibility one. And then we're going to get another one for the text box right here. We're going to paste that in there, and we're going to say, am I missing a ending quote? I am. I think I got it there. And this one's going to be the text box visibility. So now I've got to get those 2 properties and set them. Okay?
Yep.
I got to declare them and set them. So let's copy that to clipboard, come back over here. Let's create those as dependency properties. So we'll create a dependency property here, like this. Wait, do I need to do anything? I don't think I need to do anything else. So text box visibility, it's of type visibility, and its default value is going to be visibility dot. This is the text box one, so I'm going to say it's hidden or collapsed, I guess. We'll say collapsed. It really does not matter, I think, in the stack panel which one of those two it is. All right, so there's one of those dependency properties. Looks like Will Bennett says, I think using a visual state pattern is simpler. Will always does this to me every time.
Yeah.
He says, Mark, I think there's a simpler way. It's like a state machine. You just set the states and you bind the UI you want for each state. I think that's how it works. So the visual state pattern, Rory, I'm going to keep going, but
So
can you look that up for
just
me?
by the name, I'm thinking that, does that mean you're going to have two sets of what we've just done? One that has the text box in and one that has the text block in?
Yes, that's what I'm about
And
to
you
do.
literally switch out the skin based on the state.
Yeah, I'm setting these up for both of these is what I'm doing. So yeah, that's kind of where my plan is on this. So this is going to be text block visibility. But can you do me a favor, Rory? Look up visual state pattern. If you find anything, let me know. If you find anything interesting,
Now,
let us know. All right, so here's visibility. There it is right there. And the default value is going to be visibility dot visible on this one. Okay? And there we have those two. Do I need on change events? I don't. I think I don't need them on those. We don't need to. Well, I guess the question is, if somebody says something on the text block visibility and sets it to a certain thing, do I need to then make the other one corresponding switch out? And I think I kind of want to say no to it because I don't really want to modify these. I just want them only in the pattern there. Roy looks like he's put a link out there.
yeah, so there's a couple things. Will's actually pointed out that the same thing we were reading just before has a piece on this below. I haven't looked at that just yet, but I did find this Stack Overflow in which the control template has a number of Visual State Manager groups. So they list states like normal, mouse over, pressed, disabled, and you get to redefine the specific of
Holy
how the thing
cow.
looks under those statements.
Oh my gosh, that's really cool.
You got to be impressed with whoever created this in the first place.
I
They
remember,
really allow
yeah.
for all sorts of amazing stuff.
Yeah, I really haven't been playing in WPF a lot, but I remember when I first dove into it, I was so impressed with it. So here I've got a state that says the visual state, visual state name is positive. There's just nothing set here. So these are the pieces we're changing. That's kind of super cool. And then how do we exploit that? Visual State Manager, go to state. That's in the code. And interesting. Interesting. All right. I'm backing out. We're taking Will's path. So I'm going to take all this code that I thought was really beautifully done, and I'm going to go to where do we want to be? We want to be over in here. I'm going to take out my bindings to the visibility here.
Yeah, because we're just going to essentially have existence rather than visibility.
Yeah, take this
By
one
having
out
two
as
different
well.
states.
And so we've got that out and it's gone. And then now let's go follow that model for that. That is in the template.
Well, you've got examples there. Actually, your one's probably simpler. But essentially, we've got a Visual State Manager, which inside declares a couple of visual states, and each state gets to declare what you want to have for that state.
All right.
It's pretty good.
What's going on here? What does it want to? What's my error? Types that are derived.
So it's framework elements. So it goes inside the border, I think, is the simplest answer there, inside an element. So maybe we could have a stack panel or whatever else.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. Cool. And so we're going to have one state, and we're going to be block visible, I think. And we'll have another state called box visible. Like that. And then...
one control goes in each, essentially.
Hold on. I'm going to change this one to block visible and this one to box visible. like this. Maybe we'll call it text box visible. Yeah, I'll just say box visible. Or can edit. Can edit.
And I mean, there's a huge advantage to operating this way, because no matter how complicated the visual state you want, when you switch to a second state, you don't have to explicitly undo all the things about the first state before you then start to do all the things associated with the second state. So as before, we were saying we'd have to hide one of the items in order to then show the other one. Otherwise, you get this clash of both happening at the same time. Here, it's just a clean sweep and then build the second thing.
Yeah, it's once a storyboard inside though. I was expecting that I would actually like a property setter or something. Can I put a property setter in here? It doesn't look like I can. I can do a storyboard. What else can I do? Sweet is now following. Thanks for that follow. I don't think there's
so
a lot.
Did I have it wrong? We're not necessarily reconstructing.
I've got to put a storyboard in here is what I've got to do, it looks like. So the storyboard is going to do handle the animation. So storyboard.target name, text block, target property. Yeah, so we've got to kind of come in here, and we do have something called text block. We do not have something called text box. We should do that. So you declare what property you want to set and what value for each state. You have to use an action in the storyboard for the properties. So that's kind of what we've got here. Inside here, color animation is not what we want. What do we have? Is there something actually called an action? There's not. What do we have inside here? Some kind of animation we got to grab, because we don't really. I guess I want a Boolean animation. Why don't I have just a Bool animation here by itself? Because I don't really want to necessarily use keyframes either. I just want to change the property. What do we have over here? Storyboard. Well, let's see what we can get. If I come up and say storyboard, because I really don't want an animation. Storyboard Boolean property change, something like that. Okay. Discrete object keyframe. There's the target property right there. Object animation using keyframes. Really? Oh my God.
I guess the idea is that because it's only a Boolean, it's only got two states. So if you had a set of frames that you were animating through, you need to know which keyframe to make the transition on.
No, I get it. I'm just like, it's just feeling like so overkill to me here. I don't see key time in here in Boolean animation using keyframes. Oh no, it's not there. It's in the next one underneath. So storyboard target property, target property is going to be equal to visibility. And what about the target? Hold on. Target name is the other piece that we want to grab in here as well. So storyboard.target name. I think we're going to get this to work, is what I think. That's going to be the text block right there. Okay, so we've got the private property is that, and then we're going to say 2 equals, is that what we're going to do? And then false. 2 equals, I didn't get a 2 here, so maybe that's not it. For the
visibility, as Hugo says, is in fact not a true-false.
Oh, right.
Right. It's an enum anyway.
Oh, right.
Which means an enum animation, I guess. Is that right?
I'm not sure. So we've got, is there an enum animation? There's not. Is there visibility? There's nothing. Oh, man. I'm feeling like I'm hitting a dead end here because I'm uninformed and I'm not quite getting it. If someone in the chat room has an idea on how I can do this, shouldn't need an animation for that. Yeah, no kidding. I don't know how to do it without a storyboard though. I just want to, I'm thinking about my property setters, right? is what I'm thinking about that I can use inside of a template, for example, something like that. But I'm not getting anything inside of the visual state. Let's do another search for this. Visual state, XAML.
Okay.
Got something, Roy?
Well, it's actually it may very well be the thing I was looking at before. No, it's very similar though. XAML from Silverlight, so it's quite old, but it says WPF uses to change visibility.
Will Bennett to the rescue. So the visibility
maybe.
to collapse when storyboard completes. Hold on. All right. Storyboard. Wow. That's what's going on right there. Okay. So I guess we'll do that. I really don't need the animation. I would love to be able to change this without an animation, but we'll try that and see what we get with that. So object animation using keyframes. What's my problem? Select value following a storyboard. Whoops, forgot the storyboard. Okay, there's the storyboard. Okay, now what do we need to do? Begin time, target name. We'll say it's text box. Storyboard target property is UI element dot visibility. Okay, cool. I like that. That's awesome. And we're going to just do one keyframe right at 0, and we'll set it to visible. Okay. Wow. That's like a lot more XAML than I'm expecting.
Yeah.
To do this.
Possibly not the best time to mention, but I'm thinking that maybe your dependency property strategy may have been more efficient.
Yeah, maybe. All right. So we're going to do the same thing with text block, and we're going to set its visibility property to collapsed. I guess I was hoping that I'd get IntelliSense there, but I don't see it. So we'll set that equal to collapsed. So there's that one. And then I think I got to do the same thing with the visual state on the other side to reverse this. I don't think it's just going to, should I trust that it's just going to revert back over? Is, I guess, my question. Because XAML often does that. So right now I've got it so that this, or at least I had it. Right now they're both visible. So I want to change this to say this one is true. So it's really only the text box below that I need to come in.
Presumably it doesn't really matter too much because both of the properties are going to get set appropriately using the Visual State Manager each way round.
Tell me what you mean doesn't matter. Are you saying it doesn't matter by...
I don't think you need to set it in the actual text block or text box because your can edit visual state says to set both explicitly, and I'm assuming you're going to make a similar thing in the can drag to be the other way around, so they both get set explicitly as well.
That's what I'm saying is I think I don't need to do it here because XAML says, oh, I know I'm going to restore back to where we were before.
Oh, okay.
That's what I think, but I'm not 100% certain. Well, let's do this. Let's add an ending tag here, and let's just go ahead and we'll throw it in for now, and we'll take it out later and see if it works. So we'll just do the opposite of this. This is going to be collapsed. Like that. Okay. So we've now got that, and
Now we need to go to the code and explicitly tell the Visual State Manager to change states under the right circumstance.
We do. I'm not really sure yet how or when I'm going to do that. I think I want to have let's go back to the dependency property that we were talking about creating, and let's create a dependency property called isActive, I think like that. And we're going to make it a type of a Boolean, and its default value is going to be, we'll say false, like that. And then we're going to, and this we do want to, create a, let's see, a new, not a course, but a data change, what is it? Property change callback. And we'll say, call that isActive changed, like that. this is going to be way faster if I just have CodeRushed do it for me one more time. Because I have another template that puts this in automatically here. So we're going to do it one more time, DP without the comma. And is active, type of Boolean, and default value is false. And then here's where is my coerce? I don't need my coerce. I need is active changed, which is the virtual one. This is the one I want right here. And now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, okay, if new value, we're just now becoming active. Then I'm going to say, now here's where we want to make that change. And I think I saw sample code for how to do this back here. Or was it here? It was here.
I think it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to do that. How do we get access to the Visual State Manager? Where is that coming from? Is that global? Whoops.
Well, that's the thing. You were in a user control.
Yeah, it's a static class.
User control, which new. Oh, is it? Okay.
I'll take it.
Well, that's considerably simpler.
Okay, and I'm going to make this be, what did I call it? I've totally forgotten the two different states.
Can drag and can edit.
Okay, cool. All right. So we're going to say if we are active, then we're going to say can edit. And otherwise, we're going to say can drag. And I bet this is a Boolean. What is that? Yeah, I'm going to say, I'll say use transitions is equal to false, I guess. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but we'll do that. All right. So now I think we might have something we can test. Let's try rebuild. And I'm going to try and test it right in right inside of here. Okay, so we've got this. Let's come up. What's going on here? It looks like I'm unresponsive for a second. Okay, there we go. So we're going to say is active equals false. I was hoping we would see that change. Is active is true. I was hoping we'd see that change.
That did change. Something there.
Oh, you're right.
Altered.
That was really weird. Why did I not see the first? Okay, so it is working.
Is it simply because it thought it was false already, so you setting it false wasn't a change?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, because we didn't set those up initially to match the visibility that were the defaults. Okay, good. I was going to fire up KEXAML to play with some WPF for a bit, but apparently it's gone. That was a really helpful tool for quick XAML stuff. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I remember a tool that was very useful for playing with XAML. Hugo says Visual States is a completely different beast than imperative code. It was meant for the designer to tweak, not so much for the dev. Okay, well, as with everything programmatic, there's like 5 different ways to solve things, and each one you can do it. So I'm a big fan of, hey, if we've got it working, let's keep punching through and continue.
So what we need to do somewhere is to tell our control its default state.
Yeah, we can do that right here. So we're just going to come in here and we're going to say the text box visibility is collapsed right here. And I think that's all we need to do to solve that problem. Okay, I need to line these guys up on top of each other, which is... let me create a second copy of this so that we see them at least side by side. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. Let's try again. And I pasted in creating a new instance of it. Why don't I see both of them? This time I feel like I should see both of them. That's kind of weird. Now what is going on here?
You did just change the default so that one of them was false. So one of the visibilities was not visible.
Oh, okay. There we go. All right.
So you should only see one thing at a time.
Yeah, but I didn't rebuild it. That's the weird thing. But maybe I didn't have to. It's just like going out and getting it. That must be what's going on.
That's weird right now, though. You've got both of them set is active to true, and yet you're clearly seeing different pieces.
This is, I think, hold on. I think I can fix this in a second just by changing it here. True. Whoops. There we go. I think that was explained by I think that a rebuild is going to fix that.
Okay.
Let's see if that's the case.
Slight state faux pas notwithstanding, though, we have 2 num text boxes with 2 different states. with two different sets. Okay, now we don't.
No, we do. They're both the same now, even though
Oh no, they've
they're
changed.
both.
Sorry, there was a quick.
These are both looking identical to me, even though these two are here like this. Is active is, it could be the is active property is defaulting to false. And if is active is false, well, that's actually what our app.saml is looking like. Do we have to set our visual state? I think we might have to set our visual state. Hold on.
That might be more effective than setting the state. So on construction or on finished construction, we could just set it up.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to try that. Whoops, false. Let's try that as a rebuild. See that.
Is that an appropriate time to do that? Will everything be physically around by the time we finish the constructor?
I'm sorry, what did you say, Roy?
Just,
I was looking at the chat room.
It's okay. Sorry, I was trying to imagine, was this a user control again? Because it's not,
It's
and therefore there aren't any events that will have inherently needing to happen afterwards. So we should be good.
This is not. Yeah, but it's not working though. We're still at this. This is really weird for me. If I say.
Have you rebuilt those since that particular?
I thought I did.
Change?
Let's try again. Here we go one more time. Rebuild. Although I had a problem this morning with this really strange error. It said it couldn't find something. I was working in app.xaml, couldn't find it, and couldn't find it. I had to actually restart Visual Studio, and it was like, oh yeah, everything's okay. And I was like, it spent like a long time over that. Yeah, so the rebuild succeeded, and we've got these two pieces here. Might be template loaded, is Hugh Goodall is suggesting.
It says you need to tie to an event. Forgot the name, but when the template is loaded, so it might be template loaded.
Fine. Yeah, that sounds familiar to me as well. Let's see what I've got here. Let's control for options. No events in here? There's no events? What? They're there. Okay, hold on.
Oh, okay. On template changed.
Oh, there's no events that match that though. Maybe there's a loaded. Hold on a second. Maybe there's, let's look at only events here. Is there loaded? We could do that. That's probably not a bad place to do this. Or not. Because the properties should change it, right? The on active change should totally fire off and change it.
Yeah, it should physically get constructed. Then you overlay the XAML setting the default value to true, false, whatever we've had to the instance. And then that should, as you say, fire through all the is active, rippling through and setting the state. Yeah,
we could also... Let's do this. I'm gonna pull this out. I'm gonna extract this into its own method. I'm gonna say this is set active or set appearance based on state, like that. And we're going to call this active, like that. And now I want to come up into my loaded, and I want to say, and then I want to pass in is active. Seems like a lot of work. We shouldn't have to do this at all. But let's see if this now has the impact we're looking for. Template loaded might be a virtual method. Template changed sounds right. Since the template can change during execution, like scanning the apps. Will Bennett says, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What is the issue? So what we're looking at is, the problem is that if we go to the effects list, oh, now it looks like it's working. Okay, so.
No problem, nothing to see here.
Well, it wasn't working before when we had is active is false and the other one. These two were visually not reflecting that. They were both the same. They were showing a different state. What we seem to have done to fix it is hook into the loaded and then call this explicitly set appearance based on active state. I'm going to I'm going to comment this out for a second, and I'm going to rebuild and see, just so we can verify that's exactly what the problem was. Come back over here. It's finished rebuilding. Rebuild all succeeded. Yep, that was the problem. Because now, even though I've got false and true, over here, they're not showing. So we are explicitly needing to do that at least once, which probably means is active change is not being called on a load. Is that really what I should be concluding from there? Might be a possibility.
Seems a little strange, but yeah.
Yeah, it seems like I would be like, oh, I don't think so. Although I have, okay, rebuild all succeeded. Now it's working the way we want it to work. Okay, so good. We need these on top of each other. Is what we need. So let's go figure that out. I actually have, where did I have this? My stat box does this. My stat box puts a text box right on top of a text block. And it does it with a couple of ways. One of the things it does is it specifies its height, and then it also sets some margins, I thought. Aren't there margins in here? Or really no? Why is that the case? Really, it's only the height? Or maybe it wasn't the text block. Where was it? The stat box. I mean, maybe it wasn't the stat box. I thought it was. I thought I set up the margins here, but that doesn't look like that's the case at all there. We will come in and for the text box, at least we're going to set the height to 25.
So what is it at the moment that's I mean, wouldn't they be in the same physical location as each other anyway? Is there something we're doing to alter that fact? Is that padding maybe having an effect?
Hold on.
Be more like a margin, really.
Let's go into app.xaml and see what we've got. Oh yeah, the padding for the text block is definitely part of the problem. Absolutely, good point. The width is not something that we need. That was something we copied. The text alignment is not something we need. Okay, so that was just what we copied over and didn't remove. Let's just see if those two are enough to make this work, to get these two. Maybe it turns out I did. When I was doing this before, I was working with margins, and then maybe it turned out that I just discovered that if I set the height to 25, the overlap was perfect. But I thought I recall spending time messing with margins to get a perfect overlap. Yeah,
so that's close, but it's not quite.
Yeah, it's not quite. It looks like it's higher than 25 as well. That edit box looks like it's really, really there. Let's see if we can get the, with lookless controls, you have to think of it almost as two separate things.
The chat room is on fire!
It's on fire, Roy. Hold on a second.
I'll get a fire extinguisher.
Let's see. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Grid. The magic is the grid. You keep fighting it, but that is how you put one control on top of the other. With lookless controls, you have to think of it almost as two separate things: the functionality and the visuals. You're right. I got you. I'm with you. They interact, but they're also their own thing in their own time. Control gets instantiated, and eventually it will have a visual based on the control template linked up. Yes, absolutely. I believe you and agree with you. But before the link up, the visual has to be instantiated. Hugo says fire and run. So.
Okay, I mean, I agree with all of that, but I'm still wondering. What you're looking to do currently is to style a text box to occupy the same space and have the same margins as the text block. So that when one switches out and the other switches in, it's almost impossible to tell if anything's changed.
Yeah, so we're doing that now is essentially what's happening here. If I say true, if I go back to false, and we can see that we do need to change margins a little bit. But there's something about the height of that I think the height of that 25 is not what we want. Let's change it to 20. Let's also set a margin in here. Let's say like margin 1 like that. And let's go back, rebuild, go back over to our effects list SAML, and then change them back and forth and see what we've got, what it looks like now. So there's that false. Let's switch it to true. Whoops, true. Okay. Let's go back to false.
A lot closer.
Yeah. Okay, so I need to move my text block over. I think it's going to be something like this. 2, 1, 2, 1 is what I think it's going to be. Let's try that, a rebuild on that.
And of course, this does make sense because a text box is it's strange to say it, but it is a box surrounding the text. So there is always a bit more physical bulk to it that we need to add to the text block in order to make them equivalent.
Roy, I did not hear you, buddy. I was looking over the chat room, and I was like, oh, I can pay attention and type in at the same time, and I was horribly wrong. Say that again to me, please?
I was just saying that a text box is inherently slightly more bulky because it is, after all, a box
Yeah.
around the text that would otherwise be on its own.
It is.
So we pad the text block by that similar amount,
Yeah.
and we should be good.
Yeah. And we just have to figure it out. I think it's 3. I'm now looking at 3. So here we go. We're going to change it to true. And it's 3. It's 1 more and 1 down, and I think we're going to get pretty close to this. Hold on a second. Let's go back over to app.xaml. I'm changing this to 18. I'm changing 2 things at once. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Let's try that and see what we get. Rebuild. So about now, I usually turn to Rory virtually, let me just get you're actually that way right there, based on if my references, you're back that way up on the other side of the planet. How are you doing on time over there, Rory? Are you?
It's amazing you should ask at just this moment. Yeah, I'm thinking I probably have to head pretty soon now. However, it's worth pointing out, actually, and you've seen it already. I was going to say, Spider Hunter 3 has asked, does the controller node perfectly overlay? Well, I got to say, even if it doesn't, even if it didn't, we kind of would want it to, right? We'd be aiming for that.
You know what? It doesn't, but ours will. I promise you, ours will be perfect. Theirs do not. Theirs jump up a little bit. I don't mind the jump, to be honest. Click. I don't mind it. Are they also jumping the cursor as well? Where's the middle of that? The middle's right there. Let's try it one more time. I'm going to come down here and click down low. They are moving the cursor, kids. Look at that. The hot spot of that cursor is right there. And right over here, if I put it in the bottom left of it, click, they move it right up there in the middle. That's super interesting. That's kind of an interesting choice to do that. So it's kind of out of the way, I think. The cursor's out of the way.
It is as well, because you'd have to do it deliberately. That's not an accidental thing.
Yeah. Hugo's saying it won't be perfect. It'll just be pixel perfect. I'm not sure whether I should concede or argue the point on that one. You're spending a lot of time perfecting something that may not be entirely necessary. Spider Hunter. Yeah, that's kind of what I do sometimes. If it's like a visual thing, I will like frickin' take the time I need to make it perfect. So anyway, with that said, let's do a quick rebuild. I think we're close to perfect and ready to move on to the clicking, dragging. Rory, you got to go, buddy?
I do, man.
Right.
I'm pretty confident you've got this, though.
No, not true at all. It's like, I don't know, have you noticed, like several times you've been like, oh, Mark, it's this. You're doing that instead. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. So
I'm still confident you got this.
Everyone needs you, but fine. Just leave, and I'll be on my own, and we'll see what happens. All right, so let's come in here. False. Look at that. It's perfect, Rory.
Guilty. Hey, I was right.
It's perfect.
I was right. You did it well.
Okay, but I got more to do now. I'm going to keep going, I think. We'll see. We'll keep it going. Hugo says, have a great rest of your evening, Rory. Thank you so much, buddy, for hanging out with us extra time here. Spider Hunter says function before form. Yeah, I want both. But here's the thing, though. Part of form, right? Part of the argument here is that I'm also trying, as I'm interacting with the UI, to lower cognitive load, right? And so anything that disrupts cognitive load, such as a jump or a shift, is something that I want to minimize. Because I want, I'm trying to create the most efficient UI, the most efficient interface ever. So that's why in things like this, like I don't care necessarily what color what color of gray or blue the border is on this. As long as it's low contrast, I'm fine. But I do care if there's a jump. I want there to be no jump. I want it to feel like it's the same thing, and I'm just going to come in there and click it like we've done. So we've got that. Now we can come in and we can say, hey, we can actually take a click on this and change it. So we'll have to stop our testing here and now move our testing over into the running app. But let's do that. Let's actually, I think I can do just this. I can change my startup project to just this guy, and we can get faster edit, compile, test cycles. And let's now make it, we want to make it so that if we do a click on it, let's see what's going on with that. Are we going to get the events inside our num text box for the mouse down if we've got other visuals on top of it? That is an interesting question. I think we might lose them, and I'm not sure if we'll get those or not. So preview mouse down is here. Let's literally set if preview mouse down, if we get a mouse down, let's just set is active to true. Like that. And let's try to run it. Yeah, Spider Hunter, Hugo saying, for reference, I'm the author, presenter, creator behind the course, The Science of Great UI, SUI.com. This is a topic I've spent like 12, 13, 14 years researching. So I'm like, you know, when UI is important, I'm like, let's make it perfect. So let's click here. I'm going to, oh, you know what? We got a problem because we're already starting in that mode because of is active is true here. We want to set that to false. And so now we're going to run. So we're going to test to see if a click on that text box is, yeah, it's not going to work. I think it's not going to work. We're going to have to find a way to hook those events through the template or to maybe access the controls via the template and then hook the events that way. If I click, oh, it worked. What the heck? Okay. Never mind. So that was all a completely wrong prediction. So a click on it does work. We are able to get the events that are inside here. So now I need to differentiate between a mouse down and a drag. And let's just double check actually one more time. I'm gonna run it one more time. And waiting for it to appear on the monitor. There it is. Pulling it over here, grabbing. Okay. So we've got this cursor moving right here over that control. What's interesting is the whole text box is taking up all that space. I think, why is that the case? Is that because I said stretch in my app.xaml? I think it was. That was something I copied over. Did I have a stretch here or not? What's going on with that width of the text panel? In my border? That's it right there. I'm going to take out my horizontal alignment and maybe even take out my vertical alignment too. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, let's stop debugging. Like a lifelong DBA worrying about paging, row size, locking, etc. for a simple application where it shouldn't matter as much. Yeah, it's in their bones, metaphorically speaking. I'm the same way with over-engineering for flexibility and extensibility. Yeah. Yeah. Spend hours with Alice down the rabbit hole. So Spider Hunter 3, yeah, I can do it. Yeah, you want to see here's my example of that. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to right click on Google and say copy image. Then I'm going to come over here inside of CodeRushed. Let's go to our num textbox.cs, and I'm going to create a comment right here. Oh, I hit paste, but it's not. It's interesting and weird. So I was going to show you. Let's try one more time, see if there's something else going on. And let me write the time down because I need the devs to look at this. 12:38. And just want the devs to look at that right there. Normally that would work in terms of the pace. I'm not sure why it's not. I recently updated. Let's go into options for a second. Let me see what my options are. So I'm expecting the image to come in here, and I'm working also with, latest hot bits off the developer press here. So we're essentially dog fooding CodeRushed. Rich comments. What do I have? We got them enabled. Not sure why I'm not seeing that inside of there, coming in through the paste. There it is. I'm not sure why we didn't see it at once. Okay, so here's what I was going to show. This is an example of how I go down the rabbit hole, right? We've now the ability, the CodeRushed has the ability to paste images right inside of the comments, right? But I wanted to make it, it wasn't just let's paste the image and we leave it there. I wanted to be able to resize, so we can come in and resize like that. We can also do a pixel resize as well. So if we do a regular resize, it's going to be nice and smooth like this. But if I come in and say pixel scale and say like 800%, it's actually, instead of blending it, you're actually seeing the individual pixels of each one as an individual squared pixel. So I can come in here and say pixel scale, go to 1600%, and you can see it there. Whereas if I just change this the slightest amount, you'll see it blurred right there. Another example of this kind of attention this attention to detail that I will totally do. Crop image, the same kind of attention to detail is in there. Is the ability to come in there and make a change to it like that pretty quickly and easily to the image, and make it feel right. The goal is to make it feel like it actually exists right in the source code, when in reality it's all it is it's just a little comment here that we are then changing. Where we're giving it a height and all of that. So that's an example of like rabbit hole, right? For me, where I will totally go down it and implement that whole thing right there. Yeah, that's all inside of CodeRushed right there. So Hugo says, this is our safe space where our group of specific detail focus meets. Yeah, great. Spider says, relatively new dev compared to you guys, so I'm learning different paradigms from people like, yeah, you know what, Spider Hunter, look, it's almost like everybody's right? Your concern, you saying, hey, shouldn't we be focused?
And ignorance.
Yeah, there we go. That's also the mantra for the show as well, brute force and ignorance. Yeah, but I was just saying, look, everybody's right? It depends on your criteria for success. And as, the environment changes, as your experience changes, your criteria for success changes. And for me, sometimes visual is absolutely the visual elements, the interactive elements are the absolute priority, and it's everything. It's the only thing that's important to me. So, okay, so we've got a mouse down. I think we need to save the time is what I think we need to do. And we need to look for mouse moves as well. So I think we should come in here. We should go see, we've got a preview mouse down. We can get rid of this on the loaded. We can come in here and say preview mouse move. There it is right there. Plus equals, we'll get our preview mouse move. And I want to put this down lower. So we've got it down, and we need a preview mouse up is what we need. Preview mouse up. There it is right there. Like that. We also need, I think we need a capture is what we need as well. So we're going to say preview mouse down. And in preview mouse down, we're going to say it is active to true. But I think we could also be like, if is active, then I just want to say get out of there. Because we might want to do more stuff here. Preview mouse up. If we're active, I want to get out. I don't care about it. And if we're active here, I want to get out. Okay? Now, then, the mouse up here, I want to get rid of this line of code here, and I want to actually put it here if the amount of time, if we have not moved. We need a state in here. We need a Boolean. So, have moved, like that, and we'll default that to false. I'm going to set have moved here if we're active. So we're going to say have moved is false there as well. And then I think I want to do I want a moving or not? Do I need anything if we're active? The mouse is moved. Yeah, I need something that says moving as well. I need a second one that says moving is equal to true. Let's declare that as well as a field. And we'll put that there. Yeah, I know I don't need the false here. We'll get rid of that. Okay, and wouldn't that be in the mouse move? Hold on a second. Moving, yes. I would, well, I kind of want a, maybe I shouldn't have called it moving, but the idea is I want to basically, I'm reset, this is a reset here that I need to later find out if we've moved. But now the moving is, I think what that means is we're watching it, right? We're watching the mouse right here. And I think I want to say is mouse capture? Got mouse capture. Is mouse captured? Isn't there a capture mouse? I want to, oh, I bet it starts with this capture. Capture mouse. That's what I want. Attempts to force capture the mouse. Excellent. So I'm going to say moving, and it returns a Boolean. I bet it returns true if it's captured the mouse, is what I bet. No clues there, but I bet that's going to work. So now we've captured the mouse with the down. So now we can move it back and forth, which now I'm going to be super excited about. And then we're going to say preview mouse move. If we're active, we're going to return. If we're not moving, then we're going to return. We don't care. Okay, but now if we're moving, now we want to check to see how far we're moving away. Well, the mouse down, the down point, we need to figure out where that is. So that is coming in through the event args, I believe. There's something like an e.get x or y or something like get position. What is it? Position. There it is right up there. Get position. Okay. Relative to, I'm going to say this, I think. This element. And I'm going to grab just the x off of that. And I'm going to set that equal to, I'll do a declare local on that, and then we'll widen that scope out. So we're going to call this the mouse down x, like that. Let's widen scope, promote to field. Okay. There's mouse down x. And then we want to, in our mouse move, we want to come in and now figure out where we are. So we're going to come in here and say get position, not get hash code, get position dot x. Let's say, let's declare local there. It's going to be x is that. Then we want to, Will Bennett says, I think you can just do drag drop and query continue drag. That's for the timing related things, I think is what that's going to be. I don't know. Maybe. That may be totally it in terms of doing it. But I'm going to continue along this path, see how we get with this. What is going on here? Relative to this, again. So we want that position relative to this. And then we want to say, we want to figure out how far it's moved, figure out some sort of threshold. If it's greater, then let's figure out the distance. So we're going to say distance moved. And you know, the other thing I just realized we're going to need is we're going to need our original starting text. So we're going to say our starting number, I guess is what we're going to do. So we're going to say starting value, our start value is what is equal to text. Let's do a, I'm going to change this up to a try parse instead. And try parse. I need an out right there. I'm forgetting, what is, that's what I need. Okay, great. So if, well, I'm just going to do that. That's what I think I'm doing, like that. And then start value. Oh, no, wait, because this, I don't want to do that. I want that. And then I want this, like that. So we're going to do that, I think. And I think what I really want to do is this. If we got a number, then we can do something with it. Okay, so we'll capture the mouse. We're assuming we're doing that. That's all working, and that's going to work. And mouse on X is equal to that position. Okay, I'm good with that. Aren't you storing the current value as a number already? I'm not. I'm just descending from text box. So there's no number here yet on this. So I've got to protect against somebody typing in something that's not a number here. So we're going to grab the text, get the starting value, getting the mouse down X position, and then we're going to get distance move down here. We're going to say, okay, distance move is equal to the mouse down X minus X, like that. Then we're going to say if distance moved, if not moving, so what I want, wait, hold on, not have moved, and distance moved is greater than some sort of min threshold right here. Nope, let's make it a double. Min distance for move, like that, and we'll say that's equal to, I don't know, 10 pixels, something like that. So if we've not moved, then we're going to say have moved is equal to true. That's what I think we're going to do. Check out this link after the show. I think you can use the built-in drag operations to save yourself some code. But I love this code so much, Will. I'm really happy with this code. And he says, check out the link after the show. I'm going to throw it. I was going to throw it up on screen so you can take a look at it real quickly. I'm worried the element's going to pick up and move is what I'm worried that it's going to, like some built-in behavior is going to make that happen. But interesting idea. All right, I might have time to check that out. We'll see what happens on here. Okay, so if we have moved, then we can start making changes here. So we're going to say if we've moved, then we can now calculate the new value. So what I'm going to do is, let's say we'll take our distance moved. We're going to subtract the min distance for move from that. Let's declare a new local for that, and we're going to call this the value adjust, maybe like that. And if we just use pixels only, I think we want to then divide by. Let's create a constant here. That's going to be pixels per unit, I think is what I'm going to do. And I'll say maybe for every 10 pixels, it's going to be 1 unit. So the value adjust is going to be this whole thing here. By the way, this is a CodeRushed feature right here. I select that and I hit the closing paren, and it gives me parens around it and puts the caret at the end. If I hit the opening paren, it puts me at the beginning. So I can use either paren and it puts me on either side of that. I want to then divide that by pixels per unit right there. New question. Why have the two if statements and have moved at all? So ask BloodCon. Okay. So I have two things I'm worried about. Or is the question here why these two if statements? I could certainly combine those two conditionals into one if that was that question. No need to have those there as separate pieces. Why am I asking about have moved? Because I want to make sure I've moved at least the minimum distance before I start adjusting the value. And so that's what I'm simulating here with the have moved. So in other words, if I click and I move a little bit and then mouse up, sorry, to be correct, if I mouse down, move a little bit and mouse up, I want it to behave as if it were a click. That's what I want it to do. I want it to behave exactly like the controls we're seeing over here. If I click down and hold and then release, it lets me edit. But if I click down, hold, and then move, and now I've made a change and release, it does not let me edit. It just makes the change. So that's what I'm looking for right there. That's kind of behavior. That's why I need the have moved and the moving separately. Okay. So, okay. All right, so let's see. We are here. There's our value adjust. And now what we should be able to do is we should be able to say text is equal to value adjust plus, oh, I need one other thing. I need a math.abs right here. I meant to put that there and forgot. Okay. So now I'm going to say value adjust, text is equal to value adjust plus our starting value. What did we call that start value? Dot to string. Okay. Does the Adobe control allow you to move the mouse slightly as well? Kind of. Like it's a 25. I want to move it just a few. It actually looks like every pixel I move, it's changing it. So it's like I have to be pretty careful with that mouse to move it by one. We might want to drop this down to like say two pixels per unit, and we'll play with that instead. I don't know. I feel like that's worth running and seeing if we get that to work. Does it need to account for the threshold? I did by subtracting the min distance for move right here. So you can see right there, distance move minus min distance for move divided by. So, yeah. Wait. But I have a problem here. This is wrong. That's wrong. I need to account for negative direction, a move in the negative direction. Here we go. So I'm going to click and drag. Come on, no breakpoint. And it just gives me in there. So we're missing something. Let's see what we get in here in the preview mouse down. We were looking for, oh, this is my problem. I don't have a value inside of here. And I have no way to exit this either. So let's close this. Let's fix the code down here, and then we'll come back up. I said this code was wrong. It's not distance move minus it. That's if it's positive. I think it's really along the lines of this. It is this. It is math.sine of distance moved times math.abs of distance moved minus min distance removed is what I think it is. That's what I think it is. I'm trying to clear there we go, trying to clear that breakpoint. I think that's correct. So that keeps the sign in the right direction and also accounts for min distance for move. Oh, Hugo had a comment already about ABS. He got it. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Hugo. You totally saved me, and I missed it. And did I get it right or not? You have it as math, ABS mouse down. Well, but I didn't want to do, I wanted this to actually be positive or negative. So that's kind of what I've done here. So this is kind of what I wanted to do. At least I believe that code is right. Let's save that. Let's change over in effects list.xaml. Let's change hello to 0. Okay, now we've got a number, and now we got a shot at this thing working. Hugo Dahl says, has been there before, had to write my own touch manipulation library ages ago before touch was really a thing. Yeah, sounds awesome. Very cool. All right, here we go. Click and drag. Oh, look at that. It's going the wrong way, though. What the? Okay, but not bad. And oh, so interesting, too. When I go 1 pixel, look at this. So I'm not rounding either. I should round these babies up, I think, because it's basically giving me a 0.5 kind of change on here. But that's kind of what I'm looking for. Oh, and then, though, when I come up, we make it active. So we've got another problem in there. And it looks like I've captured the mouse still, too. Guess who forgot to uncapture the mouse? So let's abort that, kill it, bring it back down. Let's uncapture the mouse. We're close to finishing this, I think, which is like I'm feeling pretty good about. Not effects list. It is the num text box. Why did we lose that? Did I close it down? I guess I must have closed it. Okay. So we need on the mouse up, we need this. We need basically to say if moving, then we want to release capture. I think that's what it is. Is it release capture? Release mouse capture. Sweet. Perfect. That's what I want to do. And then I want to exit. I think that's it. I'm just out of here. So that gets us out of the capture. The other thing we need to do, just a little bit of the value adjust here is I want to do a math.round on this, I think. I want to do math.round on the units. So we're just adjusting by 1. Don't you need to reset have moved? I reset that at the beginning of the mouse down. But yeah, I could also reset that as well here, just to be extra. I don't mind that extra piece if that's what you're suggesting. I don't mind it. Because, you know, sometimes having redundancy in code, even though you don't need it, makes you feel better, right? Like if I'm maintaining this code or somebody new is looking at this code, they might worry about it not being there. And if I have it there, they don't worry. So their cognitive load stays lower and they keep going. So I won't mind small things like this that don't really have any impact on efficiency. So we'll do that. So we're doing a mouth round down here. And I want to, I think also, well, I guess that's all I need to do. I'm just rounding it. Okay, cool. And let's run it. And, oh wait, we have the value just is wrong. Because I think my distance move should be x minus the mouse down x, the original one. That's the reason why. That's my problem there for the direction. And I think with that, we've solved the 3 problems. Yeah, Hugo says state expectations, don't assume them. Or you might say don't expect the state expectations. Don't do that. Okay. If we get this to work, we're going to give away a copy of CodeRushed, and we are out of here. All right, so here we go. Dragging to the right. Nice. Uh-oh, but I released the mouse. Why? The mouse up. That is weird. Set a breakpoint here. Try it again. Yeah, it's still going here. Release the capture. Moving is false. I need to change moving to false. That I definitely have to do. Moving equals false. Like that. That may be my problem right there. There it's working. So now I'm releasing, click and release. Uh-oh, my click and release doesn't work. Are we really setting have moved to true? No. So what's going on with my release here? If we're moving, wait, what's going on here? Set a breakpoint there. Click and release. Okay, we're here. We're moving. There's the release capture. Oh, I need this. If have moved, if not have moved, no, if we have moved, then we're going to, hold on, I think it looks like this. If we've moved, then we're going to say have moved is false and we're returning. Otherwise, we're going to keep going and following through here. So let's, I think I'm right there at the right statement I want to be on. Moving is false. If we have moved, we have not. It is active. Now is active is true. I think that's the fix. And now I feel like I have, there we go. Okay, now no way to, the last thing I should really do is if we lose focus on that edit control, I need to, we need to set is active to false. So I'm not sure the best way to do that. Let's kill the app that's running. Is there lost focus on here? Lost focus event, there it is. Okay, cool. Lost focus, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say is active equal to false. Set that equal to false. And let's run it. Holy cow, I feel like we actually did it. What's the question? Question above. Don't you need to reset have moved? Is that yours, Will? No, wait, hold on. What did I miss? If you have a large number that can be entered, 2 million, you should have a direct scale for increasing, decreasing value, or should it be exponential? So, Spider Hunter, I got the question. Rory asked that question earlier, and my take on this is that my answer was no when he asked me this question earlier. I am slightly rethinking it, that maybe we want to add a property to do this, because it's not hard to do, to move it up and down. Here, let's clear the breakpoint. Let's run it. Okay, so here we go. And then I release, and it's good. I click and hold down the mouse. Oh, you know what's wrong, though, is as I'm moving the mouse, I'm getting a different cursor as I'm doing that. I'm not sure where that cursor is coming from here. So I kind of need a global cursor change. But the question was, let's say I come in here and I make like 2 million. Looks like I'm not getting the select all problem issue as well. I'm also not seeing the cursor. No cursor, no caret. Interesting. Why don't I see a caret on that? Because it's not active? Is that it? But it should be active. I tabbed away. I just tabbed away and the focus problem was fixed. All right, so let's make it in like 2 million or something like that. So that was the question.
CodeRushed.
That was the question. Mark, Spider Hunter can't do that? Oh, you know what? I think that's because of the Spider Hunter. Normally you'd be able to do that right there. And the question I'm getting, right, is should it be based on speed? So small movements change the number, a small amount, quick movements change the number, a large amount. No, I want to do it. So here's how Adobe Premiere does it, right? If we come in here and say it's really, really high, it still comes in and I can move it a bit at a time. This is for fine-tune adjusting is what this is. This is for making just a fine-tune adjust, but to use the mouse to do it. So that's kind of what they're doing there. And so that's kind of exactly what I'm thinking I want to do as well. Maybe not so much because they're doing it, but simply because I think it's good because I really want this for fine-tune adjusting. So I can come in and so my double click's not working. Why is my double click not working? I need to figure that out. Okay, it looks like I got that answered over there. I think we have normally, by the way, Spider Hunter, typing in exclamation mark would totally work. And Will, I'm glad that you helped out there to get my attention over there. I think we had that crash earlier, and I think the crash is why with the bot why that's not working, and we lost like user data, and so we'll have to look into that. Maybe tomorrow's show we'll take a look. So I think what I'm going to do is this though. I've got most of it working. If I click away, like here, then it loses the focus, and if I click and drag it, it drags it by small, it changes by small amounts. Here I'm in the middle, right here. And I can add or make it smaller. We can do that thing that we're talking about, give it a property that says how much you want to adjust by. Totally happy to do that. I think the other thing I want to do too is I want to be able to support degrees. Because sometimes I've got a degree out at the end of this thing. Oh, look at this. End key doesn't work either. It's as if that text box does not have focus. Yeah, so we're going to have to figure out that text box, getting that text box focus. But I'm feeling like I'm still going to end the show even though we kind of don't have it entirely nailed. We'll come back tomorrow. We'll figure out the text box having focus. We'll figure out the double clicks. We'll take it to the level that we can ship it, right? Where it's working with everything. We'll add that other property for amount we want to adjust it in. And yeah, there is a show tomorrow as well. So we'll do that. And so Spider Hunter, if you join us tomorrow, you'll see us do those things. For now, let us, we're going to give away a copy of CodeRushed here before we get out of here. Because it's time for
CodeRushed giveaway.
CodeRushed giveaway. That's what it's time for. Today's winner is, wait for it. Oh, not long.
Starglider BR.
You do not have to wait for long. It came right out of the Visual Studio menus. Starglider BR, you've won a copy of CodeRushed. I will DM you on Twitch with instructions for how you can download that. Spider Hunter will not see you tomorrow in the office. Well, we're so glad you were here today. You had great questions. And I love these questions as we're moving forward here because sometimes I'm not thinking about things that are important to talk about. So thank you so much for those. Will, thank you so much again. You're like my official co-host. You're amazing.
Will Bennett rocks.
Seriously, and so we appreciate you as always. And with all of that, one more thanks I want to say to Rory. Thanks to Hugo, Janiscu7. Love having you out here as well. Thanks for, holy cow, Seth Juarez is with us. He was lurking the whole time. Seth, we're so glad to see you as well. And we will see you all tomorrow.